All right, welcome back for another episode of Carnivore Trade. Today is Friday, October 21st, 2022. If you're not done so already, give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. Stay tuned tomorrow. I know I don't release a lot of work on Saturdays, but I do have a special video for you. I think you guys will like that, so stay tuned tomorrow morning. It's going to come out, and yeah, I think you guys will like it. It's a little treat for you. Anyways, overnight, futures blood red here, and if you guys follow me on Twitter, I said, hey, what's going to be the news that pushes the market higher and saves us here? And sure enough, someone from the Wall Street Journal reported that, yeah, the Fed's considering pausing after 75 basis points in the next rate hike cycle, and obviously the market loves that. Futures went from blood red to bright green, and they are in full squeeze mode for the most part here. We got above that trend line here on the triple Qs. If we take a look at the daily, you see the spiders there. So daily trend line down sloping. We've hammered on that the last couple of days, couldn't get through it, and now we're pushing up. So I do like the NASDAQ here for a little bit of a bid moving forward. And we've kind of echoed the sentiment, right? Saying I do think the market gets some type of an upside bid here, upside bias going into next week. And I do think we see a little bit more upside. I don't know if there's a ton, but I do think that's kind of what the charts are telling me here. And the spiders here, if we flip over there, both the NASDAQ and the spiders up about 2.5% on the day. You see we kind of held this as support. We got above it earlier this week, and that was kind of your support line, and we got a nice little bit off of that. As far as this little rumor, how much of this is real and how much is it? I don't believe anybody substantiated it. It just was a rumor. And this is, by the way, typical of OPEX. That's why I sent that tweet out last night saying, what's going to be the rumor that pushes the futures up? Because the futures were getting hit pretty hard last night. I mean, you see that tail candle there. You know, we were all the way down. Let's see, the low was 36.41. So we were getting hit pretty good in the pre-market and the overnight. Then at 8:30, 9 o'clock, all of a sudden this rumor comes out and futures start blasting higher. How much of that is real? How much of that is BS? Well, the 2-year is getting a bid here. So it's up 30 basis points. This is nothing crazy, though. We still have, we're still below all 4 major moving averages. You could still make a case. I believe that 4-hour trend. Yeah, so, I mean, we had that bear flag on the 4-hour we talked about the last couple of days. That has started to play out. You're basically into resistance now. Again, the 2-year is oversold. It's getting a bid here. But we need to see follow through. We need to see, higher highs. We need to see a trend change on the 2-year to really kind of substantiate it. But here's the thing I really want everybody to really want to hit on as far as the big picture. Even if the Fed pivots or pauses, that doesn't mean they're going to do QE. That doesn't mean that they're going to drop rates to zero again. I mean, eventually they'll have to do something like that, but I don't think it's going to be right away. And the market's really just kind of clinging on to hopium, if you ask me. I mean, it's a good move. And, we have OPEX week, $18.2 trillion expiring in the equity markets in the next 5 to 7 minutes here. So a lot of put premium getting burned. That does not surprise me one bit here. So there's that aspect to it of this is unsubstantiated rumor that drove the equity markets on an monthly OPEX Friday. How much of that is real? And again, with the Fed pausing, everybody's expecting a pause and a pivot and QE again. I just want to say, so again, we look at the Fed funds rate versus the 2-year yield. This is where they have to go. Every time throughout history, you can see whenever the orange line here is the Fed funds rate, 2-year, they have to get to this area, or at least within, I'd say about 10 to 15% of it, and we're not there yet. We're still 200 basis points away. The effective Fed funds rate right now is about 2.55. The 2-year yield, is 4.47. So we're still 200 basis points away. Everybody's thinking they're going to pivot. They can't. They can't yet. So we have to get close enough. Now, if the 2-year starts to bid, the market starts to do the Fed's job for it, and we see the bond market front-running the Fed. Now you can change that pivot and say, okay, well, the market's doing the Fed's job for it, so now we're going to come in a little bit here. But in the short term, the market's liking it. That's all we're going to make out of it right now. The yield curve is coming in a little bit on the 2s and 10s. I'll get rid of this so that's not in the way. That is the monthly, so it looks all weird. But There you go. So you see the 2s and 10s starting to come. No, it's still inverted by 25 and a half basis points. But, market's liking it in the short term, and we'll give it the upside bias for now. I still think, again, we still have kind of a possible little ABC up pattern, zigzag up. We talked about the transports being kind of a leading indicator. And you had this kind of 5-wave down here on the DJT. And then you can make a case that you've got, an up move. This is your B leg, and then you've got a C leg coming. So again, I do think there's some upside in the market. How much remains to be seen. I don't think it's a ton. There is still a lot of risk above, between 380 and 390 on the spiders here. So it's going to be a challenge here, but there is a chance that we could cool off a little bit into the Fed meeting, maybe even into the election, somewhere in that area. But for right now, market is getting a little bit bid, and bottom line, there's still a ton of risk up here, and don't trust OPEX rumors. That's basically the bottom line here. But for now, market is holding up okay, and we close in about 4 minutes, so it looks like we're going to hold the gains for now. Anyways, we talked about the spider, so triple Qs, again, getting above that trend line, up 2.38 basis points so far on the day, getting a close above the daily 20 moving average for the first time since August 19th, so that is a positive for the triple Qs. How high could you go? Well, your first resistance level, you do have a gap fill right there. So 279.76, and then of course that little pivot high there, and then your pivot low right here around 290. So those levels obviously correlate to the spiders, same exact levels there. There's your pivot high and pivot low there on the SPY. Makes sense, right? So those are the levels I'm looking at here going into next week. As far as some sectors, let's take a look at the semis as always. Start off with the semis, up 3.35% currently. Again, about 3 minutes left in the day. We'll see if we can get a close above that daily 20. We got one earlier, never confirmed. It looks like we're going to close right on that today unless we get kind of a big bid in either direction in the next 3-4 minutes. But semiconductors holding up okay. You did kind of have almost you did have an inside bar here, so that's to be fair. And we did say, look, it's an inside bar, but we got to be careful. Look at the trend. It's down. It's weak. So don't look for a whole lot out of it here, but for now, we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Semis are holding up okay, up 3% and some change on the day. IGV, cloud software, again, same thing. This is not actually a terrible kind of pullback pattern either. Again, the problem with it is what? Your trend is down, it's weak. You just had a big bear base here. Take a look at the weekly. So that is a pretty big weekly bear base there for IGV, and you're trying to peek back above it right now and maybe back test those levels, but for right now it's hanging in there okay. Not a terrible daily chart up move or ABC up potential pattern there for cloud software. We talked about the transports a little bit. DJT again kind of had like a little 5-wave down, got this little trend line break, and now you have a potential little ABC up. Transports are still a little bit on the weaker side now. They're starting to get a little softer, so we talked about this really the last couple of days. The transports led to the downside in September. They led to the upside in October, and now they're not getting as much of a bid. So we had that reversal on the 18th, and we've come in. Yes, we're up today with the rest of the market. But if we look at the spiders, this is trying to make a higher high. It's almost up to a higher high relative to the 10-18 candle, whereas the transports are still well away from that level there. So we're just kind of bidding off of this yesterday's low, and we're still away from that. So a little bit of weakness in the transports. Definitely need to pay attention to that because they have been working very well as a leading indicator over the last really couple of months here, as they typically are. But especially right now, keep an eye on those transports. So we talked a little bit about rates, obviously. The 10-year here finishing negative, down 30 basis points. Again, the 2-year getting a little bit more of a bid. So yield curve on the 2 and 10s coming in substantially. That is a positive for the market. 30-year still finished way higher here, up 2% on the day, but it did come in off the highs and left a pretty good gap there on the chart. So 30-year also coming in, but again, that left a pretty nasty gap there. So I would expect some type of a retrace here, possibly early next week there. But again, 30-year still managed to be up 2% on the day. All right, flipping over to home builder. So XHB, good volume there on that reversal. We talked about this yesterday. They need to save this thing quickly because you have a weekly bear flag, right? Basically on and below that 200 week moving average. And if that breaks down, this double bottom's not going to be much because you've already bear flagged above it. So the double bottom's not really going to save you there. But XHB getting a good bid on volume, so this might have a little bit more relief in it. Ultimately, I think these are all going lower, but for now, a nice little save there, stick save, reversal, whatever you want to call it. Same thing with ITB, up 3% and some change. And there's the closing bell there, so up 3% on the day. Again, but ITV still saved at that 5150 handle there on the daily time frame. VNQ still remains weak. Again, it's off the lows here, and that's really the only positive. No close above the daily 20 moving average. It's oversold. You have a potential higher low in place, so that's your positive right now. You finished up 80 basis points on the day. We'll see if this can get going next week. If it can, again, I'll give it the upside bias to about 84, but you know, for right now, that's really all I can see in it at the moment. It is definitely a weak sector. XLF here, nice little pop off the 20. So again, we had the reversal off the CPI, came up here, couldn't confirm above 32.50, or should they 32.30, we'll call it. And then we got a little pullback, a little bit of a bid off of the 20 moving average. So XLF holding up okay. And again, bank earnings out of the way, they held up decently. XBD, again, this little wedge pattern we're following, basically just stalled out right there today. We'll see if it can get above that next week. If you do, that takes you up to the bigger trend line there. And again, that 200 moving average, which has been resistance the last time that we tested it. All right, let's flip over to energy. So crude, again, really just kind of a sideways day. Nothing's changed. Back above, confirmation above this trend line is bullish. Confirmation below here is bearish. On the weekly, not really telling you a whole lot. You do have an inside candle here. So you have two inside bars off of this rally day, or rally week rather. And you know, that 100 MA defense is holding up for now. Again, you guys know the downside targets. It's this lower trend line, and a break of this trend line gets you, I think, a lot higher on crude. I think we do bottom either way, regardless, by or around the election. I think smart money will try to front run any weakness. So if we do see a type of sell off, you know, if the administration tries to push the energy prices lower again, I do think before the election that will get front ran, because they're going to have less incentive, obviously, to keep it down after the midterms. So that's really kind of my look as far as crude is concerned there. But anyways, crude kind of just an inside week. All things considered, XLE, powerhouse, what can you say? Nice move here on XLE. Again, we confirmed that breakout of that little trend line there. Nice pop there. Let's take a look. So 86, 87. Yeah, so you got a weekly close above this gap window bar. That's a red bar high. So that's a failed inside bar on XLE. So XLE showing some serious strength here. Let's get rid of this. We don't really need this anymore. And you can almost make a case. I'm just eyeballing this right now. So we got a lower trend line there. And if we double that up, yeah. Yep, so that might be kind of your next stopping point right there on the XLE. Again, try to get this in exact. There we go. So right in that gap fill area, that is at 88.71, and that coincides with that kind of parallel line there on the bottom. So XLE, either way, nice rally. And again, I like these names. I just can't get too excited about them right now. If we have some type of a panic or something like that, which we're still not out of the woods yet. You guys know that. I'm in that camp. But again, XLE is still showing lots of strength here. Anyways, XOP, same exact thing here, but never got above the highs. So exploration a little bit weaker, but I still like the chart. And OIH, powerhouse move. So this has been kind of the weaker one really all year of the three. But nice move for OIH, up 5% on the day. Weekly powerhouse move. Did not get above that red bar high, but still a nice move there on the weekly, getting a weekly close above that gap fill and that double top. So OIH in good shape here. I like it. I also like Nat Gas. We just tested that $5 handle here. I do like this level a lot. Full disclosure, I am long Nat Gas via Boyle, so just so everybody knows. But I do like this $5 handle a lot. I think it's oversold. There's a short term. If you guys take the cycle webinar, you guys know there's a time counts involved in here as well. And we should get a reversal next week. I do like the level very much right now with Nat Gas. But again, it was down today. And again, I think the administration is trying to push all these energy prices lower ahead of the election. Anyways, dollar index, nice reversal, had a nice bid. Again, overnight was up. It gapped up this morning. Show you the intraday. Got a nice gap up and then just pretty much selling all day long. Little bear flag here towards the end of the day, but dollar index coming in. Again, no real technical damage yet. So the only thing you really can say is that, You potentially have a weekly lower high for the first time in a long time, right? So maybe a little bit of a crack in the armor. It's not much, but it's there. And again, it's still just a potential, right? It's not, we could easily make a higher low and take this out. This trend line is still valid. The 50 moving average is still valid. This is still valid. The 20-week moving average is still valid. We haven't even tested the 20-week moving average. So dollar index, no technical damage, but it did come in nicely down almost 1% on the day. So again, markets will like that in the short term, and that's really all you need to know. Gold here, again, getting a bit off double bottom with good volume, so that was defended there finally. And maybe this has upside to 1700, maybe 1725. That's all I really see in the near term. But gold with a nice move, we'll leave it at that. Silver up 3%, nice power move there for silver on volume. Take a look here. Down move, inside bar, bear flag, failure. You guys know I love failed patterns. And a nice move there on silver, closing back above the 50 and 20 moving average on the weekly. Again, daily, but a weekly close above the daily moving averages. Again, they're minor, but it's a nice move there for silver. And platinum as well. I'm kicking myself on this one. I had an order open this morning, didn't get filled, and it really took off to the upside. So that is power breakout for platinum on a weekly closing basis. So I do like this here. Again, I've liked it in general. This can be bought on dips, bull flags or pullbacks. I love platinum here, and it is holding up really well, especially considering the state of the rest of the precious metals market currently. Copper here, nice pop. So copper finally got above that trend line. We've been covering this for weeks now, and we got a weekly close above that trend line. So nice move there for copper. You still have, you still have this inside bar here. So let's not get too excited about it, but you do have a weekly close above this little downsloping trend line. So that is a positive. You didn't get above the 50, but we'll see what we get next week. And basically, copper does live to fight another day, so we'll give it the benefit of the doubt for now. And then Bitcoin, you guys know what I'm going to say already. It's just hanging in there, right? So until we, see something, until the bulls do something, this is still a neutral to bearish bias here with this monthly inside bar and weekly inside bar. Nothing really going on the daily until the bulls prove it otherwise. All right, so let's get back over to the spiders here and wrap up. So again, finishing up 2.42% is the SPY on the day, closing out the monthly OPEX. Now that those games are out of the way, we can see the real move next week. Again, I do think we have a little bit more upside in this market, especially as long as that dollar stays weak and as long as bonds can hold up, the market will like that in the short term. Anyways, going to wrap it up here. You guys have a great weekend. Stay tuned tomorrow. I've got a really awesome video coming out. It'll be done tomorrow morning, so stay tuned for that. But you guys take care. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you guys all next week.